said, put in for Princess Trust. It was called Princess Trust then, the Princess Youth Business Trust, for some funding. So I think it was $3,500 they lent us. We got a cheque and we had to take it. We were with a co-op bank. $3,500. It was like, I felt like a millionaire. I genuinely love Oldham. I genuinely do. And when it gets a bad rep, it frustrates me. Is Oldham perfect? No, but there's loads and loads of really awesome stuff happening. I did a quick calculation. I did some research. If 500 businesses in Oldham shifted the spend from outside the borough or big companies online by £250 a month, in 3 years, that's worth 18.8 million in added social value into Oldham.
Welcome to the Ledger Lounge. This week I'm joined by Lauren from the office.
Hello, I'm back.
And a guest here today, we've got Ian Taylor. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on board.
We know you through hosting local events, but I think your business career started a few years ago. Well, more than a few years ago, probably 20 odd years ago, was it?
Thanks, we were kind there.
Yeah.
Probably 30 odd years ago now, Matt.
30 odd, well, there we go.
Yeah.
Must have been a very easy paper round then.
Well, actually, the paper round was tough. I lived in Groton, and I used to do it around Lidgate and everywhere.
Lots of hills
Halfway
there.
up Platin Road. If anybody knows that, it's dark. In winter, I used to be, at age 13, I was scared. So I don't know. I've started using face cream. No, I haven't really. yeah. I'm an Oldham lad, born and bred. Literally born and bred. My dad was a baker. I feel, looking back at the time, you don't realise your childhood's your childhood, isn't it? Looking back, I feel so blessed that my dad worked for himself, because as I got older, I just thought that was all right. It was what you did. Where I had mates who thought they had to go and work at a bank or be a solicitor or, go whatever the profession was. I just thought, oh, it's all right, work for yourself. But I always wanted to go and work for him. I worked in the bakery, Saturday lad from age 11, first job cleaning toilets and drains. And then,
nice.
But then I got onto baking. They let me bake. They taught me how to bake. So I did that. And my dad got ill for a bit, and I did that before school when I was doing my A-levels. In the morning, I used to fall asleep in chemistry. I remember one day I got a ride telling off, and then the teacher pulled me on one side and I told him what was happening, and he was dead supportive after that. Oh. And then I always just wanted to go and work for him in the bakery.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a dream.
It does. It sounds a really nice, like you said,
Very
smell
wholesome.
of bread. Very, yeah. I think you'd be about 30 stone.
Well, I was getting on for it at one stage in my life. And back then, when my dad had baker shops, so he started off with one, then he had two, and I think he had 5 plus 2 market stalls at one point. Watts was Mother Hubbard's on Manchester Street, if anybody knows that.
Yeah.
He built that. Not with his own hands.
Yeah.
But he built it, and he had an in-store. He had a big bakery to serve his other shops. Then he had a greengrocer's and a butcher's in the front of it. 1977, so I'll have been 8. Silver Jubilee, I remember. It was back in the day, that's what I was going to say, when people shopped local. And it was brill. Christmas, there'd be queue out the door for Christmas Eve. But that was when shops did shut for a few days, not like now, where it's shut for half an hour and everybody's rushing. Yeah. And I remember my dad's shop back then on Hollins Road. He'd say, right, go on. We've run out of flour. Delivery's not till tomorrow. Nip up to Alf, and that was torture shells, and they were only at Garden Suburb, and borrow some flour. And it was like, they were all mates, the bakers. It wasn't like competition, because they were a mile and a half up the road, so they didn't come down to.
No, nobody's going to buy from somebody else.
Yeah. You just went to your local. They were good times.
Yeah, definitely.
I can imagine that would be just so nice, because I've never experienced that. Really, I can imagine that would be so nice.
It was like a little community. Yeah. You knew everybody who came in the shop. They knew you. They'd seen me grow up from a baby, because she used to take me in. My mum and dad worked together in the bakers, so she took me in as a baby, and they had a filing cabinet in the back, and she used to literally put me in the bottom drawer of the filing cabinet as a baker. And then as I got to a toddler, I was sort of toddling around. She was doing something. They used to whip cream up in 2 or 3 gallons in these big, massive bowls, and then it'd be there. You'd fill your piping bag, do your cakes, and then fill it again. She said, turn round, and I'm sat in a big bowl of cream.
Brilliant.
So you were really ingrained in the community right from being a toddler, really, or being a young 11-year-old boy?
People would see it, apparently, because he had a shop in Failsworth. Because I think that's the thing about family business. Stuff happens, you have to be there. My mum and dad couldn't leave me anywhere. They didn't have any other family, and I don't know. Nursery was a thing. I don't know.
I used to do the same actually with my dad, because my dad had shops, but like home discount shops.
Oh,
and he
so
had
you-
one on Hollins Road too, so I used to go there and help him set out in the front of the shop every day before school.
Did you love it?
I mean, like you say,
Did
you have to do it.
You have to do it, don't you? Yeah.
You don't get paid for it.
No, and you don't get much thanks, but you do learn a lot,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah, you
And I think it
definitely
brings
do.
you up in a real values-led ethos. And
I think it helps you with communication as well in
Oh, yeah.
your later life. Just being able to talk to people, just one of those skills that you can pick up, like you two picked it up at a really early age, and it helps you.
yeah, and it's second nature then, isn't it? You like, I never thought about it. It just happened. You know, you had to speak to the customers. You had to ask them what they want. And mental arithmetic, that was another one.
Yeah.
I love mental arithmetic. I mean, the till that we had, I'm on the podcast, so you can't see me, but, you know, you'd have to press a £1, then how many tens of p, and you had to spread your fingers to get £1.32, you know, and push it. And I think there was still half p's around when I first started working in the shop.
Yeah.
Half p coins, and that was it. And you had to, busy shop, you had to learn to add it up in your 6 muffins, 6p each,
Yeah.
36, and
So from the bakers, then the baker's son. What was the next? What was the next?
So
move?
the story in my life was I wanted to join my dad's business.
Yeah.
And he said to me, look, Ian, I left school when I was 13 and I've done all right, I think. He wasn't arrogant or anything. But I think I could have done so much better if I'd had a better education. So he paid and I went to U. And at the time, I didn't realise why. It was just where I went. I look back, I'm blessed. And then when I'd done my O-levels, I was like, Dad, I want to leave. I want to leave school. I want to come and work. And he went, no, stay on and do your A-levels. Persuaded me to do that and then come. And then he was like, well, go to university and then come back and work with me. So I did. I went off to Lancaster. It was back in 1988. And I was looking for a business style degree. And the nearest one, there was no business studies. Or it was called Management Science and Economics.
Right.
Didn't do much of that, but I did play a lot of rugby league and enjoy this. I felt like it was a learning curve, having to live and cook and look after myself. The plan was go and get this and then come back and work with my dad, because he had a few shops at the time and help him grow. Then April 17, 1991, my dad had a heart attack, died 2 days later in Royal Oldham Hospital. That's about 3 weeks before I started my final exams. And it's not a sob story, this. It killed me because he was my best mate. We spent so much time together, and I look back and think I lost him when I was 21, but I feel like I had so much more of my dad than some of my mates who've still had him because we were so close. So it kind of, and back then it wasn't mobile phone. I remember I'd come back after lectures and all my 3 housemates were stood on the front of the house looking pretty sombre, which is unusual. And we had one with the old phone in the house and somebody had phone. So then it was walk into Lancaster, get a train to Preston, change the train to Manchester, then a bus out of Manchester to Oldham and a bus down to the hospital. Moving on from that, you get through it. And I scraped a 2-2 after that. At uni, I probably won't got better than that anyway, to be fair. But I had no plan then because my dad's business went amongst all this,
Right?
And so I had no plan. But I went to Lancaster, which is on the edge of the Lake District, as you all know, and team building had just come out. It had crossed over from the armed forces into business, so they started doing business team building events, and predominantly then late 80s, early 90s, it was outward activity based. So I'd been working at weekends. That's the other thing I did for a couple of the first ever team building companies in the Lake District. So I phoned the bloke I've been working for and says, can you get me some work? And he said, yeah. So I worked with him, and that's how I got into team building. I'd taught English in Spain, also at uni. So I phoned my boss there and said, can I come out for the summer again? I hadn't booked on. So I did that. And then somebody phoned me out of the blue and said, will you organise a team building event for us? Somebody I've met at hotel. I said, what was it, 20, 19, 20, 21 then? And I said, well, it's not me. It's Richard who I work for. I'll give you his number. And he said, we don't want Richard. We know Richard. I'm still mates with Richard now. He's retired in the Lake District. But he's not what you'd expect for team building. He's dry. He's not communicative. And I was a 21-year-old, just mess about, have fun. It's you we want. I said, all right. So I phoned Richard. I said, this has happened. He said, well, picture it if you want. I came up with the idea. It was 30 odd people. They were all travel agents, but BA were paying for it. So it was thanking these travel agents, and it's for a full weekend. So I called the proposal the Full Monty. Now, it's before the film, The Full Monty. It was before the film, but my dad had always said, well, on Sundays, we used to have the Full Monty breakfast. We'd go swimming as kids and have the Full Monty, which was everything in. So I called it the Full Monty, meaning we'll put everything into this proposal. And I typed it on a typewriter. Oh, that was it. I remember the only paper we had was cream paper. And I typed it and posted this off. And they came back and said, yeah, we want you to do it. So then I was like...
Brilliant.
Oh my God.
So you're just purely winging it.
Completely winging it. So I then phoned a mate who was close with, who worked with me, said, do you fancy doing this with me? So I went and worked in Spain for the summer, came back, and we pulled it together, two of us, and I eventually started Team Spirit with Mark Kenyon. He's a counsellor in Oldham. He moved to Oldham. He lived in Leicester, I lived in Oldham, and we could get a tiny grant for a couple £100 if we started a business in Oldham. So that's why we're in Oldham and not Leicester. He came and lived with me, kept on my couch when we started the business for months, and we started it up. Got our mates to work with us, had an amazing laugh. 21-year-olds, young travel agents for a weekend at Middle Aston House in Oxfordshire. What could possibly go wrong? We didn't make any money, but had a laugh and thought, maybe we could do this. So then that's when we started pulling together a business plan. Yeah,
don't make any money, but learn a lot.
Which
is amazing how many times we've heard this in here.
Right, yeah.
That, initially you'd not got your pricing right, but let's get the practicalities of doing it out there.
Well, in sort of, I suppose, in later life, I try and keep, read lots and look at lots of learning and stuff. And I can't remember the exact quote is that, don't wait till it's perfect to launch, do it and get it out there and make it perfect. Yeah. I mean, there's a fine balance in there. I was 21. And then we got a unit in the Acorn Centre in Durka, which was literally a unit. It was about the size of we're in here, but 3 walls were cage from waist height upwards. And in the next unit were about 20 of the heart of gold, hardest working sewing machinists that you'll ever met.
Loud.
It was loud, and they swore a lot. And but our phone didn't ring much. We were like, in the first year, I think we did 2 events. But I had about 4 jobs that paid the way, but we still had the office. But when the phone did go, they were brilliant because they could hear it ring, because it was the old-fashioned ring, ring. And one of them would go, phone! They're all shut up. And then when we put the phone down, we're like, thanks! And then they cracked on again. It was like proper Oldham camaraderie.
Yeah. And I think those machine shops were just, I think if you were a young man going into them, you'd just raw meat, weren't you?
It
was just literally like, you get turned onto shreds.
Yeah, at first they they'd get us, they'd have us, and then they became, we're friends, they were just winding us up all the time, and we were just naive little young lads. So what happened was we put a business plan together on the journey, and I was working for Bennett Staff Bureau in Oldham as a temp, and then there was a job. I saw a lady called Liz who was the Founders Club. Will probably talk about it. She was the boss there at the time, and there was an ad in their window to go to become a recruitment consultant. And I was working in factories in Middleton and ICL in Ashton, washing up and on the production lines. And every week when I went to get my wage on a Friday, I'd be like, I can do that. And she's like, no, you can't. It's like, come on, Liz, give me a chance. I think after about 3 months, I wound her down and she said, all right then. And I ended up working for Liz for about 18 months whilst I went to night classes, start your own business on Yorkshire Street upstairs. And 1 week would be finance, 1 would be marketing, and there was no computer. We didn't have a computer or anything. And then I put a business plan together. A guy called Ed Stacey. He used to run Oldham Enterprise as it was back then.
Yeah.
And he mentored me, helped me put it together, and that won't work out. And he became a close friend. He said, put in for Prince's Trust. It was called Prince's Trust then, the Prince's Youth Business Trust, for some funding. So I think it was $3,500 they lent us. And I remember being as nervous as hell because you had to put it in, and then somebody came and then they said, you've got it. And then I remember we got it. I think we got a cheque and we had to take it. We were with the Court Bank. $3,500. It was like, I felt like a millionaire, and we got that money, and so we started up, and we were in a cage, spent it on kit, as you do, like So anybody out there, focus on sales, not on your kit. We went out and bought shiny ropes and all that. We were young and we were messing about, and if we had enough money to go for a beer, we're still dossing at my mum's. Everything was good, but then it got to the stage where I needed more. So me and Mark, who I started the business with, we parted ways. We didn't fall out, but we parted ways. He wanted to do other things. And I started giving it, that's probably when I started giving it a proper go.
Make it a proper business.
And that's when accountants came into play. Yeah. I remember going the first accountant, I won't say who it is, and we had some kind of books, and I took them in. Somebody's recommended you, and he looked at them and he went, if you're still here in 2 years, I'd be surprised. Sorry, we won't have you. I mean, that's in the 90s, a long time ago. Anyway, we were around for a long time.
I think that just shows how far accountancy's come as well, because that probably was the attitude then. And it was purely a compliance thing. It was the running of the business is your own. We're not here to advise you. We're here to tell you how much tax to pay, which is absolutely of no use at all. Whereas working closely with a business, communicating with them on a day-to-day basis and just being involved in the business is the way that it's done these days a lot more. And they badge it up as advisory or whatever you call it, but it's basically just working with the business.
I agree, and that was it. I came out of there like lower than low, and I'm pretty upbeat. And but that's seemingly how it was, and went on, found somebody else, and that was just a case of give us your stuff whenever it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't even quarterly back then. It was in advance of the year end. Yeah. And then they'd do the compliance. So I know we had a bit of a chat before here, and I think one of the things I'd say after 27 years there at Team Spirit, and what I do now in the businesses I've seen is with accountants, is find somebody that you get on with, number one, because you got to trust them. And like you're a different personality, Matt, than say somebody else down the road. And so find an accountant that will invest the time to get to know your business is what I'd say.
Yes.
Because businesses are so different. Jess works in a nail salon, they're taking cash every single day. And each week's pretty the same. They have a bit of a trough at Christmas. Whereas when I had Team Spirit, we might make a loss for 2 months and then make 200 grand profit in the third month, so quarterly. We were looking good, but we had peaks and troughs. The pay schedules were different on different clients. And we needed somebody to understand that. Then they could advise me, because if I wanted to grow or I wanted to move into that new unit, I wanted to do things. Now I'm just looking after myself in a consultancy, so it's much different. I think the attitude has changed, and accountancy as a profession has moved on so much.
I think so.
Yeah. And for the 100% better. And you need to be talking to your accountant, and they need to know. You should be talking to them before you make decisions. And that might cost more, because, good service does cost more than somebody who's just going to do it at the end of the year. But I said to anybody, if you're listening and you've got a growing business, have a good accountant you can get on with and you can sell anything to.
This is something we tell the team all the time, isn't it? And just get on the phone. Go and
get on the phone. Who does that these days?
I know, but talk to. Don't hide behind emails, and if you can.
I hate emailing.
That was from the heart, wasn't it?
I do, because I quite like talking to people, and you know that, don't you? I mean, I've got my own little portfolio that I manage at James Scott, and I love talking to them, and I'm in contact with most of my clients every week.
Yeah, I think we first met. I feel like we met before, but Billington's when we first met, sort of formally, if you like.
Yeah.
And it was just after you'd started the networking event at Billington's.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I forgot if that feeling we met before, but let's just say our relationship flourished at Billington's.
Yes. Which, for those that don't know, Billington's is a really good, casual, informal networking event that's hosted every month in Oldham Town Centre. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of networking, and I've been to a few networking events where you have to stand up and present your business, and, it's almost incumbent on you to turn up, and that's not for me at all. I like it a little bit more of a casual relationship, I suppose.
I mean, now I host a lot of networking events, and I try and design it specifically for the group. So it's good to hear that you like Billington's because of the community, and we wanted it to be relaxed, no pressure. Because if you did a survey, I reckon 60 to 80% of people don't enjoy networking. They might think they've got to do it for the business, They might think I should be doing more of it for the business, but do they relish going into that room and think it's going to be the best ever? Maybe once they get into the group and you feel comfortable, but at first...
No. Yeah, it probably feels quite scary to some people who are not that way inclined.
Yeah, and what do you do? Walk into a room full of strangers. Where do you start?
Yeah, I mean...
You bought one of my courses and that's how you do
What is it? There's the answer. I was going to say, is that, I read somewhere, is it 10 seconds or 20 seconds of excruciating pain when you were first walk into a room and then you're fine?
Yeah. Then you're fine,
You just get over that and you're okay.
And there are a lot of things people can do, actually, to make it easier for themselves. Like anything in life, if you want to be better at it, you've got to put a little bit of work in.
Yeah.
So if you're speaking in front of people, you've got to put the work in. If you want networking to give you a better return on your time or your money, and you want to feel more comfortable because there's two sides to it, you've got to put a bit of effort in.
Put yourself out there a little bit.
And there's certain things you can do to help them.
And that ability to communicate and that public speaking element of, we were talking about this on the way up, and it's not just about standing up and presenting something on stage, and that's not necessarily public speaking. This is public speaking, what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Meeting somebody in a networking event is public speaking, but also talking to your employees, talking to your staff, talking to your team. You know, if you're on a construction site, you've got toolbox talks.
Yeah.
Getting that message across is so important for everybody who is trying to run a business.
100%. I saw something recently. It was a guy called Vin Jiang, and he's amazing. Looking at you want to improve at public speaking. He's what everybody in the trade, I suppose, has somebody they aspire to, and he's one of the guys I aspire to. And he said, imagine a scenario. I said, like, Matt, just take you as an example. Accountancy wise, you're a 10 out of 10. But, and I'm not saying you are, if you're communication wise, you're only 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
What does your customers think? Do they think it is a 10 out of 10 or 5 out of 10? What do your team think when you motivate them? And I think that is so important. It's one, public speaking, presenting, it is one-to-one. What you like on one of your staff, your team talks, motivating, your sales. It's not just when you go to a networking event or have to stand in front. You're so right.
But I find the hardest talking to your peers. So talking in the office when we have an all-in meeting and we're doing a bit of a presentation about where we've been, where we're going. That's the hardest bit. And I don't know, I don't understand why, because they're the people I know the most. The people I don't know, I find a lot easier to talk to.
I understand that. I mean, I host roundtables with the team, and I've helped on the last presentation that we did. It does make me feel slightly uncomfortable.
I think a lot of the time we put perceptions in our head in any situation, and those are the things that start.
They're judging me.
Yeah, they're judging me. Or they'll know if I don't get it right, or they know more than a customer. Whereas in certain situations, you think, well, they don't know anything. And to other people, it'd be the other way around. We all put these perceptions in our head.
Do you know what I did? It was almost like a rip the Band-Aid plaster off moment. When I took over the manager role, in the first month, I booked a workshop with the team that I put it together and I hosted it, and I thought, just do it straight away, because if I leave it 4 months, then I might not do it. And I might build it up to be nervous or something. Just get it done, do it. And it was fine, actually. And I've done another one since, and I'm going to do another one.
We're back to 20 seconds of excruciating pain, aren't we? Get it out of the way.
I mean,
and
getting that first sentence out. And after that, I'm usually okay. But I don't mind talking.
Top tip number one about public speaking is, what I want to talk about when I talk about it at presentations, it's a little bit like a plane flight. When you go on holiday somewhere, you get on a plane, the whole flight's important, isn't it? You've got to stay safe. But the bits where the pilots have to put in the most effort are the takeoff and the landing.
Yeah.
And the presentations like that. And if you had to choose, it's the takeoff. Because if you get it right in the first couple of seconds, then you've got your audience. And they're in. You've got to really mess up to lose them. But if you don't get it right at the start, they're on the phones and you've lost the engagement.
Yeah.
Top tip for that is script your opening of any. I'll do it if I'm just doing a one-to-one or whatever, and I used to do it on all my work stuff when I was doing to the team. If you're doing a team meeting, my suggestion is script exactly what you want to say, the first 3 sentences, and then learn it off by heart. Once you've done that, it means you're not unsure at any point, and it probably won't come out off by heart. it'll come out 80% and it'll still sound natural. But if you write it, it's the best thing you're going to say because you put the time into it. You learn it off by heart and then you give yourself the best chance of the best start. I always think about when you're presenting or speaking in public, there's two sides to it. There's one, how effective are you going to get a message across? And two, how you're going to feel about it as well. Because it's a bit of a wellness versus, return on investment. I meet some people who say, I won't sleep for a week.
Oh, no,
before. Some people won't sleep the night before. Well, that's not great. If I can get somebody to a stage where they might not be better at presenting, they will if I've worked with them. I'm not being arrogant, but they will. But they're sleeping at night before, and then that's a win.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then if we can notch it up as well, and because they're not being ratty at home, they're not being snappy with the kids, they're not doing all that. That's a wellness thing, and then that manifests itself in better delivery as well on the day.
And that relates to all aspects of business, doesn't it? Whether it's in, like Matt said, talking to your employees or your customers or anybody, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
it does.
It's about preparation.
Maybe
I'm jumping around a bit on public speaking. Well, do you know what? I know I'm jumping around a bit here. So for all the members of the Founders Club, which is part of the Oldham Business Network we're launching, maybe we could mention that in a little minute.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I'm going to put on some free half-day masterclasses on public speaking.
Brilliant.
So for exclusive, if you're in the Founders Club, if you want to come along, we'll do some down at Oldham Event Centre at Latics. Usually do it about 8 people, half a day. And that gives you all the basic tools you need to be better at presenting and feel better. And you get some practical experience.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So for those that don't know what the Founders Club is, I mean, we are part of the Founders Club. That
you are, thank you.
Only just launched.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press. I think you and Brendan went down to launch event.
We did. It was nice.
Enjoy, yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But the idea is to bring businesses in Oldham together.
That's it. So with various things I've done over the last couple of years since the pandemic, where I didn't have a big business, it's just me. So I've been coaching people, setting up networking events, hosting charity events and business events, and sitting on various boards like the Oldham Business Awards and the Oldham Economy Award. And what struck me is that there's pretty low business engagement in Oldham as a whole. 8,400 businesses in Oldham or just over. And maybe we've got between 200 to 300 pretty well engaged. And then I meet other people and say to me over time, Ian, do you know anybody who does this or can we do this? And I genuinely love Oldham. I genuinely do. And I when it gets a bad rep, it frustrates me. Look, is Oldham perfect? No, but there's loads and loads of really awesome stuff happening. Infrastructure projects, events. So I just had this idea. Imagine if we could engage 1,000 businesses in Oldham out of that 8,000.
Yes.
And I did a quick calculation. I did some research that if 500 businesses in Oldham shifted the spend from outside the borough or big companies online by £250 a month, in 3 years, that's worth 18.8 million in added social value into Oldham.
Wow.
That's 200. Now,
that's astonishing, isn't it?
And if 750 businesses did 500 quid a month, that's over 34 million social value into Oldham.
Wow.
And I think, okay, so you've got, like me now, me shifting 250 spend outside the borough might be hard, but I could probably do 100 quid a month. When I had Team Spirit, I could probably do 3 or 4 grand easy a month with our, we were spending $1 million to $1.5 million a year on materials and different things. And all this is coming together, and I thought, how do we do this? So I pulled together a plan for the Oldham Business Network, which is basically lots and lots of different face-to-face engagement. Not everybody wants to go to the same thing. And going back to what we said before, some people, you mentioned the word network, and it puts a fear of God in them. Yes. So the idea is over 12 months to have that many different events at different times of the day, of different styles, that if you want to go to a business event in Oldham and become part of a community, there's something for you. Walk and talks around Dovestones, gym events with Sam at OL1 CrossFit, wellness events, inspirational, motivational speakers once a corner, industry sector-led, hospitality, retail, construction, as well as generalistic events. And over 12 months, we put them on at as low a cost as we can. Meetups in the local boroughs. Saddleworth meetup Royton meetup, Chadderton meetups for retail and hospitality after work for an hour a month. And then we create this larger Oldham business network. And then we throw a big summer bash and a big Christmas bash. Everybody gets together, all backed by an online app so people can connect and see who else is in the network. And we start building these bonds, going back to what we talked about. That's the dream of the Oldham Business Network.
It almost relates slightly back to what you talked about with your dad. And
It does.
having that community.
Yes, going up and borrowing getting a bag
shopping
of
in
flour
Oldham.
from Mr. Tortoiseshell up the road, and it's exactly the same thing, isn't
And
it?
I think you've both been to Billington's Business Breakfast, and I genuinely, it's probably one of my favourite too. I'm getting emotional now. Of the month.
Yeah.
It's not a job, I mean, it's talking a job anyway, but keeping people together and seeing friendships and relationship flourish, business flourish. You were here because you met Matt at Billington's Business Breakfast. I didn't know that till this morning.
Yeah.
And we don't track that, and maybe we should a little bit more. So to get the Oldham Business Network off the ground, we need some cash, because it's going to take a lot of my time if I'm running it. So I'd like to throw myself into it full time because I'm that passionate about it. So I put together this proposal and we said, right, we'll get a headline sponsor, a bit like the Business Awards. We'll get some partners who pay a bit more. And I thought, it's a bit difficult asking for that much money. Nobody's going to say yes. So I thought, what if we get a founders club, which is networking, but you pay. And you pay depending on the size of your business.
Yeah.
But that money isn't for your brew and your bake and money and your experience. That's to help support the wider Oldham Business Network. And that's where we've come up with this exclusive network you mentioned, Matt, the Founders Club, which thank you've come part of. And we had a chat about it, didn't we, before?
We did.
Because, I was asking your advice, why would you get on board and whatnot, what do you like about it? And what I wanted to do with the Founders Club is create a community positive spirit like Billington's, but add a touch more commerciality to it, but without being, you've got to do this, you've got to turn up every month, etc. So hopefully we will find that right balance.
Yeah.
Somehow I'd like to be able to do is look back in 12 months and say, through the Oldham Business Network, we've referred £10 million worth of business and an extra £1 million worth of business has been done. It's a fine line though. Like
It is, yeah. It is. You want to demonstrate a return on investment for the people that get involved.
Yeah. And some of the people...
To do that, you need stats.
You need some stats, don't you? So I think it's going to be work in progress. At partner level, we've got First Choice Homes on board, Oldham College on board, Oldham Athletic on board, and OMC Motor Group.
How do we find out about the Oldham Business Network?
I will be putting it out there on LinkedIn. We've got a website that's gone live called the oldhambusinessnetwork.co.uk. Yeah. It's kind of a landing page at the moment. So the aim is, as we move forward, on the website, it'll be an independent resource for all Oldham businesses. So every business event in Oldham will be listed. So it don't have to be an Oldham Business Network event.
So it's not necessarily your event.
No, we'll list it. I'll be reaching out to all the partners that I know of: Chamber of Commerce, Business Growth Hub, the College, the Madlaw, Dr. Kershaw's, and if it's business related of an event, then we'll post it if you want us to for free. We'll also have independent news channels on the website as well. So all these things like Princess Gate, Atom Valley, the opening of the Coliseum, all these positive stories that you might have heard of, you might not, and if you have heard of it, you might know what it means to you. So we're going to be independent and sharing that. We'll have email newsletters to do that, and as well as the app. So it's about connecting people, and that's how we find Oldham Business Network, the oldhambusinessnetwork.co.uk.
Fabulous.
There we are. Get on. That's
get on it.
Covered so much today, and that's been really interesting. There's stuff I didn't know about you, and thanks very much for joining us.
It's an absolute pleasure. I've spent a year. Sorry, not yet. I've spent my life hosting, running events, speaking in front of people, but you've burst my podcast bubble. This is the first ever podcast, so thank you very much for that, and I'll be shouting about that as well.
It's been fantastic talking to you.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
The Ledger Lounge is brought to you by James Scott Accountants in Oldham, Greater Manchester. Please like, rate and subscribe wherever you listen to the show. To find out how James Scott can help you build a better business, visit jamesscott.com. This podcast is a QPod production. Visit kupod.co.uk for more information.